It is you who helped elect Joe Biden to become President of the United States and me to become Vice President of the United States. And in 2024, we are counting on your leadership once again. President Biden and I know this is a community that is a force and must always be recognized, and must always be recognized for the leadership that has provided for so much progress throughout the history of our country. And your work is essential to our victory in November. In fact, earlier this week, I was in Las Vegas to launch the AA-NHPI voters for Biden-Harris. And I will tell you, folks are fired up and ready to fight. Today, we are 115 days out from the election. And while many of us have been involved with these elections every 4 years, and nearly every time we say this is the one, well, this here is the one. This is the one. The most existential, consequential, and important election of our lifetime. And we always knew this election would be tough. And the past few days have been a reminder that running for President of the United States is never easy, nor should it be. But one thing we know about our President, Joe Biden, he is a fighter. And he is the first to say, when you get knocked down, you get right back up. So, we will continue to fight. We will continue to organize. And in November, we will win. We will win. Fundamentally, this election will come down to this. President Biden and I fight for the American people. Donald Trump does not. I have discussed a few examples of our fight with some of the leaders here today. It's an ongoing discussion we've been having. Let's start, for example, with the issue of affordable health care. When he was in the White House, Donald Trump tried more than 60 times to end the Affordable Care Act, more than 60 times, and give insurance companies then back the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Remember what that was like? Remember before our successful fight to pass the Affordable Care Act, what that meant for people with pre-existing conditions? Children with asthma? Women who survived breast cancer? Grandparents with diabetes? We cannot forget what that was like and the fact that he is trying to roll us backward. President Biden and I, on the other hand, have defended the Affordable Care Act and made it stronger because we believe health care should be a right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it. And today, more AA-NHPI Americans have health insurance than ever before. We also took on Big Pharma and lowered the cost of prescription drugs. And we capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for our seniors to the benefit of more than 2 million AA-NHPI seniors. We are also finally making it so that medical debt, which is most often the result of a medical emergency, you don't plan for that medical debt can no longer be used against your credit score. This is going to have a direct impact on so many people, a credit score being the determining factor on whether you can get a small business loan, a car loan, or even a lease for an apartment. To create opportunity, President Biden and I have also addressed many long-standing inequities, including inequities like the lasting effect of so-called urban renewal projects, including right here in Philadelphia, the Vine Street Expressway. Decades ago, that expressway was built to cut right through Chinatown. It displaced families and devastated neighborhoods, and it continues to cut off residents of Chinatown from jobs and opportunities in other communities. So to address this inequity, President Biden and I have invested nearly $160 million to build parks, bike paths, and walking paths over the Vine Street Expressway, which will make the neighborhood then more beautiful, more walkable, more bikeable, and most importantly, make it easier for the residents of that community to get to work, to get to school, to get to church. And we are doing the same kind of work that we are doing here in places from Detroit to Atlanta to Birmingham, dealing with long-standing inequities. Whereas the former president incites hate, we are working to combat hate. With the support of KPAC, as Judy mentioned, we passed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, making it easier for members of the AA and HPI community to report acts of hate. And while I will not repeat the vile language that Trump has used, I will say, someone who vilifies immigrants, who promotes xenophobia, who stokes hate, and who incites fear should never again have the chance to stand behind a microphone and never again have the chance to stand behind the seal of the President of the United States of America. There is so much at stake in this moment. And last week, we were again reminded of that fact. When And we will have those 4 more years. And we will have those 4 more years. And of course, we respect everyone's right to voice their concerns. I am speaking right now, however, and I'm going to continue with the topic at hand. So last week, we are fighting for a democracy and democratic values, which includes the right of everyone to speak. And I will then, we are going to have 4 more years also. So, listen, there is so much at stake in this moment, and last week we were again reminded of that fact. Let us please take note when the Supreme Court recently basically told this individual who has been convicted of fraud that going forward he will be immune for activity we know he is prepared to engage in if he gets back into the White House. Consider, Donald Trump openly vowed, if reelected, that he will be a dictator on day 1, that he will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, that he will round up peaceful protesters and throw them out of our country, and even, quote, terminate the United States Constitution. Well, not on our watch. President Biden and I will always fight to protect our Constitution.